Hi there, my name's Brent Vanderswag. I'm the president of GutterExperts.com and founder of GutterCon, which is being held in just 11 days from now in Denver, Colorado. Leading up to GutterCon, I've been doing a series of events which I've been chatting with a variety of people in the gutter world. Speakers who will be presenting at GutterCon, suppliers, and regular gutter guys just like you and me will be talking about their businesses and how they play a part in today's gutter industry. So I'd like to introduce my guest for today, Harold Frederiks. Harold lives and works out of Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. Harold is a coach with BTA, short for Breakthrough Academy. I've personally been working with Harold since last summer. How are you doing today, Harold?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Brent.
How's the weather out in British Columbia today?
Just like any other day in British Columbia,
Rainy?
it's raining.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
Well, it's good for the gutter business out there, that's for
I guess
sure.
so.
I
Yeah.
know a lot of gutter guys out there for sure.
Excellent.
So I just wanted to this is a little bit different of an interview today because you're not really in the gutter business, but you're certainly very involved with a lot of guys in the home service business, right?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, I guess maybe first tell us a little bit about what you did before you started working for Breakthrough Academy. I know you did some work out here on the East Coast. So why don't you kind of start there? Give us a little bit of background first.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Brent. I was born and raised in Holland, and I moved to Canada when I was in my early to mid 20s, and my great uncle had actually built an outdoor water park just around the corner from you in Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada. So in my 20s, I immigrated to Canada, and him and I ran the water park as a family business. So I was in your neck of the woods for several years. I tend to leave in the winter just because it was too cold. But I would come back every summer. And after that, I transitioned from East Coast of Canada to West Coast of Canada, continued in the water park world. I was a GM for a water park, did a little bit of consulting for water parks, and then also helped a family-owned water park transition to a corporate-owned water park. And in between that, done a lot of traveling, lived in different continents, different places. But now Vancouver, BC is my home. And I'm currently with BTA, Breakthrough Academy, helping contractors like yourself build success.
Yeah, I think I met Danny, who's one of the owners of Breakthrough Academy.
Yes.
I met him through Tommy Mello. Danny does a lot of kind of like things like we're doing right now with Tommy, with his group, Home Service Millionaire.
Yeah.
And I got to know Danny a little bit through a couple of his talks and ended up joining Breakthrough Academy because of that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Breakthrough Academy then?
Yeah, there's there's so much to say. How much time do we have here? 2 hours, you said, right?
Yeah, 2 or 3. I mean, it's happy hour here now for sure. So as long as I'm still sitting, I should be good till about 9 o'clock.
Okay. Well, so the 3 C's of Breakthrough Academy is content, coaching, and community. So content, we have tons of content that we have in what we call a toolbox. So there's lots of videos, lots of resources. They've really spent years building done for you systems and templates for contractors. Then on the coaching side, it would be one of the BTA coaches spending one-on-one time with entrepreneurs like yourself, where we can really walk through all the different facets of running a great business. And then the community, which is really my favorite, where you actually get to spend time with other contractors in your industry, where you can really feed off of each other, collaborate, and strategize, and really level up, because so many entrepreneurs are going through similar challenges, right? Whether you're in the gutter business, or you're a roofer or a painter or a general contractor. So building that community is, in my opinion, the most powerful one.
Yeah,
it's really good.
I know when I first got involved with Breakthrough Academy, there was a program like the first few weeks of Breakthrough Academy is going through a process called Blueprint. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Blueprint?
Yeah, and even before that, it starts with a little bit of a vetting process. We really want to make sure that it's a right fit for you as the entrepreneur, as well as for us, BTA. We're very protective of what we have because we really have a great thing going here with our community as well as the coaching and the content. But then once we all agree that this is something we definitely want to move forward with, you would end up in a blueprint stage where we really walk through a bunch of different areas in your business. I'm just actually looking it up here
I pulled
speak.
mine up too, because I thought we might chat about that a little bit.
Yeah, good stuff.
I think it was
because you went through Blueprint.
Yeah,
right?
I went through Blueprint first, and I think it was a way for us to kind of get to know you guys and a way for you guys to get to know me.
So yeah, it's a group environment where we really talk about business planning, financial budgeting. We'll talk about the organizational structure of your company. Then we'll tap into recruiting. We'll tap into hiring, which is a hot topic these days, especially with the current labor market. Then we'll talk about training and coaching. Sales and marketing is a big one. And then priority management and block scheduling, which is a hot topic. It's probably one of my favorite topics, block scheduling, because I think when you really get a good grasp of what to do with your schedule, you can become so much more productive in your day-to-day.
We've talked about doing that. Like you and I have talked about me doing that. I know my day just gets, like today, I was just here, there, and everywhere, and I just I find it so hard to focus. It's something I gotta really look at doing. I know.
Yes, we have a whole session on it, on how to become a master at block scheduling and scheduling in your slush time, designated times for designated items that need to get done weekly. Put the big rocks in first. There's lots of good YouTube videos on that one as well.
One thing I will say too before we move on is at least I know when I was chatting with Danny before I even met you, like you really got to be at a certain kind of level I mean, everyone needs to get organized, whether you're running a one truck operation and you're doing 250 or 300,000 a year, but at least with Breakthrough Academy, you kind of got to be at like the $1 million level, right?
Yeah, it can be a little less than $1 million, but not we're not talking about $200,000-$300,000. Because then most likely you're still going to be on the tools regularly. Where
you got to be able to pull away from working on the truck to working, on your business, not in
exactly.
Your business, right?
Work
you
on your
business. You got to have the time
first.
to devote to it, right?
Yeah. And it'll take time, let's be honest. If you're going to grow your business and duplicate yourself, you can't be on the tools for 8 hours a day and grow your business to the point where you're doing $1 million and beyond.
Yeah. Danny and his partners, they came from the painting background. They were painting contractors in a painting franchise. I think one of the student painting programs, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
they all have that.
They were very structured there, coming from that.
Yeah.
So,
sorry, go ahead, Brent.
I was just, I'll let you finish first because I think you had something to say there first.
Well, there's like anything, like without a system, you're just going to be really busy, right? And the goal is never to just be busy. You want to be productive, right? You don't want to be that hamster on a wheel, just go around and around and around and around, and Monday to Friday, and then long weekend. Like we just had a long weekend, and then go back into the rat race. I've heard it said once, with the rat race, even if you're winning, you're still a rat, right? So like you really want to get systems in place where you can eventually buy back some of that time, to actually focus on the things that are important to you. Like, what is your why? Why did you start your business? It wasn't to be busy, like you had goals, you had dreams, there's things you wanted to do. So let's get those done. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, I've been self-employed for over 30 years now. I'm 50, turning 51 this year. And I started mowing lawns when I was a teenager, but actually had my first business when I was 18. And, you know, I've just been on that hamster wheel. It seems like for 30 years, like it just, you
Mm-hmm.
know, what's the, what do they say? What's the definition of chaos? It's like just
The
doing the
definition
same
of
thing over.
insanity, yeah, do the
Yeah,
same
just doing the
thing
same thing
over and
over
over
and over
again,
again.
expecting
Yeah,
different results. Yeah.
yeah. So I've always, made a living, but never did really, really well. And I think a lot of that had to do with not having the systems in place.
Mhm. Can I ask you, why did you start your business at 18? What was the
Oh,
motivation?
I,
What was the dream?
I don't know. I just was always wanted to do my own thing. And, I haven't had very many jobs in my life. I worked at McDonald's when I was young.
Hmm.
Um, I had I can really only think of one full-time job that I had, and he was very entrepreneurial too. And he actually, kind of coached me to do something on my own. He was always talking about, business and so on. So, and I was a part of junior achievers in high school too.
Okay.
So I guess I just kind of always had it in me that I was always going to work for myself.
Hmm.
Yeah, and my parents, they I wouldn't say they coached me, but they certainly, they probably saw that in me too. That that I was going to be better doing something on my own than working for someone. So they always kind of promoted that in my younger years, I would say.
Mhm.
But I
That
think,
that is a gift, though, to have parents that promote you
yeah,
to be an entrepreneur,
yeah.
because it's so easy to get trained and programmed to just go to school, get good grades, and then hopefully get a good job.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing that with my son right now. My daughter's out of university, and I don't think she's not very entrepreneurial, I wouldn't say. And there's nothing wrong with not being entrepreneurial.
Hmm.
I mean, we need people to do the work too, right?
Yeah.
And get the stuff done. But my son, I find he could probably be entrepreneurial, I think. But I don't want to push him too much because I know how hard it could be too.
Hmm.
You know, like I think back, like, would I want my son to go through what I went through in my early 20s? I don't think I'd, or even 30s or 40s for that matter.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a lot of stress.
It
But
is.
I think this is one of the reasons why we're kind of chatting today, because there's, maybe a lot of younger guys that are listening to this that, feel like they are on that hamster wheel right now. And, before they, get to that 500,000 or 750,000 or 1 million or even more. I know for a fact, I've talked to other gutter guys that are doing, over 1.5 million. And, they're very frustrated because they just don't have the systems in place. And
Yeah.
so, in fact, one of the guys I chatted with just a couple weeks ago, he's going back. He's going to make his business smaller so that he can make it better and make it bigger again
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
he
and I've,
wasn't
I've
doing it
I've
right.
I've
And he
worked with people
noticed
like
that.
that before. Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes there's opportunity for growth, and you're just taking the opportunity to grow, but then you don't have the systems in place.
Hmm.
There's one member that I worked with. I think he was doing maybe 1.5 million in revenue,
Yeah.
and then he grew his company to close to $3 million. But at the end of the day, his net profit dollar wise was pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So then what's the point? Like, you're working so hard, you got all these different levels of stress that
Yeah.
you're adding.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you got nothing to show for it. So he literally scaled back to where he was, then put systems in place and systematically grew, but his net profit was growing with it every year, which is
Nice.
where you want to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I know one of the things that you've been pushing me on, we started working together last summer. And, for us in the gutter business, the fall, once the kids go back to school, it's just like a mad rush to get everything done before Christmas. So it was
Mm-hmm.
just a terrible time for us to be looking at budgeting. And I know even now, here it is in April, and I still don't have a budget for 2022. I mean, we're going to be going into our third quarter here soon, right?
Yeah, well,
Right?
let's be
Well,
strategic about this, right?
we're in our second quarter. Okay, we're
Yeah,
just starting our
yeah.
second quarter. You're right. So, but and I told you before we got on this interview that I want to talk a little bit about you know, what am I? If you're the coach, what am I? Must be a word for me.
My friend, you know, we're
Well,
friends.
yeah, we're friends.
We're on
Yeah.
this journey together. We're
Okay.
embracing the journey.
Well, you have a job as a
You're
coach.
the business owner.
I'm the business owner.
You're the
Okay.
business owner.
And, you know, I kind of feel like, okay, well, I'm paying Harold, so I'm kind of like the boss here. But it must be a little bit frustrating for you when you see that, you know, you're coaching and things just aren't happening.
Yeah, and it's I always ask the same question when I first start working with a person, like, what are you looking to get from coaching? Like, what are you hoping to get out of this?
Yeah.
And most of the time, the entrepreneur answers with some kind of accountability, because you as a business owner, like, who do you report to?
Yeah.
The guy in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't do certain things, it's pretty easy to get away with it. So then how can you add accountability in your life? And that's where a coach can come in and help you with that, right? So, okay, so Bren, we talked about this 3 times already. You didn't get this done. So what do we need to do in order for you to get X done for the next time we meet, right? Is it, I don't know, I like to have fun. Is it pain? Is it embarrassment? Am I gonna see you do burpees on our next call? Are we gonna dress you up, sing a song?
Are we gonna get to that stage soon?
Well, I don't want to present this on this call, but at some point we're gonna have that conversation.
Yeah.
Well, but it's accountability, right? Because you don't have anyone to report to. So, and sometimes you don't even have anyone to really talk to when it comes to certain challenges in your business.
Yeah. It's you know, it seems like such a simple thing, but you know, to sit down and do it, it's not simple. You've got to carve out the time, which comes down to scheduling, and you've got to just sit down and make it happen. And you've got to have, I guess the other thing is you've got to, you know, a lot of guys in the gutter business, you know, they're business owners, of course, because they own businesses, but you know, they're not accountants, and you know, they may not be someone that knows how to run a spreadsheet or a profit and loss statement or an income statement. I mean, it's when you're starting a business, a small business, like a gutter business, I mean, you're starting from nothing and you're just getting the work done, and you're buying materials and you're putting gutter up and you're getting paid. And, you know, it might not be, I know one thing for me, I've fixed this problem, but over the years, the counting didn't happen until the end of the year. And quite often it was under pressure because I was forced to get it done. So I'd be getting my books done 6 months after the year was done. And we were like, oh crap, we lost money that year. Or we didn't do so well, or it was never, oh, we made too much. I never had that problem.
Yeah.
And not many people do have that problem, but there are some people that have had that problem. I guess they just, you know, did a lot of work and did really well, and that can create a problem too if you don't properly plan for that. I know Megan talks about that, planning to pay your taxes.
Yeah.
I mean, we said this the other day. If you're not paying taxes, you're not making money. Right?
Yeah.
That's a good way to tell if you're making money.
Yeah. You should be okay with paying lots of taxes, right?
Well, no one likes
to a degree,
but if you're paying lots of taxes, that means you made a lot of money.
You got income, yeah.
Income,
and that's why it's so important to have that original conversation of like, what is your why and what is your strategic plan? Like, what is your mission, your vision? And then, okay, so now you have your 5-year goal, your BHAG, right? Your big, hairy, audacious goal. Like, this is where I want to be 5 years from now. Okay, well, then let's break it down into what do we need to do this year to have you be on track for your 5-year goal? And budget is part of that, because without a budget, you're not, how do you know if you're winning, right? If you don't know what you're working towards, and what are you then forecasting for the year, and what is that going to look like? Okay, so then now you have your budget. Okay, so what do I need to do when it comes to sales? Okay, what do I need to do when it comes to producing revenue? You know, all of this comes together, and you really have to take control of it, because you can't be guessing, like, oh, at the end of the year, I have some money in the account, so it was a good year. That's not duplicatable, right? What does your organizational structure look like?
Yeah.
Like what
Well,
hat are you wearing in the company, right? Are you
yeah.
wearing all the hats? Sorry, you go ahead, Brent.
I was just going to say, I mean, that just brings us to the point about, what you brought up in the very beginning about hiring people. I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel my biggest problem is, I mean, we have all the work, so I'm not looking for work. I don't need a marketing plan right now. I have way too much work. I'm losing work because I can't get it done. So, you know, to me, I have to figure out how to get the work done. So the only thing I can do, like, I mean, I guess I could go out on a truck and do some work, but that's probably not really very efficient. The best thing for me to do is focus on getting my team together. So, I mean, everyone's talking about it. I know, everyone with BTA, everyone in the groups, everyone's talking about it. I mean, what's the answer?
Well, I don't know if I have the answer, but there's a couple questions that you as an entrepreneur need to ask yourself. Or maybe to come back to the statement you just made about you going out and doing the work. You as the owner are the most expensive employee in the company, right? You're worth $200 an hour. So is that really?
Can I get paid that?
Yeah. But you are like it's your company, right? You're the most expensive employee in the company. So for you to go out and run off to Home Depot just to pick something up for the guys, is that really the best investment of your time, of your energy?
No, but someone's got to do it.
Probably not. Yeah. But then can you hire someone for whatever your minimum wage is, right? Like $10, $15 an hour to drive around and pick stuff up. But then why would somebody want to come work with you is the next question, right?
Right. And it's not just a hourly wage either. It's a truck. It's, all the cell phone. It's all the things that goes along with having another employee too, right? And let's face it, we all don't want to hire someone just to run around, pick up materials all day, right?
Yeah. Well, it depends how big you are, right? But yeah,
that's true.
I hear you.
I certainly don't want to do that.
But yeah, the question I always ask entrepreneurs is, the labor market we have today is challenging, right? Somebody who wants to work and is good at what they do are not sitting at home praying they had a job. If you're good at anything at this point, you're working, right?
Right.
So if you want to attract someone to come work for you and your company, one, where do you find them? And two, how do you get them to be excited to come work for you and your company, right? So start with that question. Like, why would somebody want to come work with you? Obviously, pay is the first thing that comes up for most people. Yeah. But I think that there's a lot more than just pay. There's culture, commute can be a big thing. The company story, the relationship between the employee and the boss, or the employee and the rest of the team. Again, why would somebody want to switch? Like, why do they want to come work with you? And you better be able to answer that question, right? Otherwise, you're just throwing ads up there on Indeed or Facebook or Craigslist, Kijiji, ZipRecruiter, wherever you go. But if your ad blends in with all the other ones, it's going to be hard to find a quality person, right?
Yeah, it's tough. And once you find someone, you got to be able to keep them too. That's the next thing you got to do.
Yeah, training, which could also be a good reason for someone to switch, right? If you have a solid training program, or even opportunity for growth. Sometimes people are stuck in their current role and there's no real opportunity, but then you're hiring for a little bit of a higher position. But now this person, hey, if I go work with this guy over here, I can actually grow with the company and ride that wave of a growing company. It's a great conversation. We actually did a 6-series podcast on the ultimate hiring funnel, Contractor Evolution podcast. Feel free to throw that in as a plug there in your
well, you might as well just do it now. So
contractorevolution.com. You can find Contractor Evolution on wherever you find podcasts, whether that's Spotify, iPhone, Google, YouTube. We're everywhere, and it's free. and really, really, really good podcast
Yeah,
for
I
contractors.
I listen to it. I'm not completely up to date right now, but I do listen to it regularly. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Awesome.
So so yeah, I guess let's just quickly just kind of chat about like where I am right now. So I went from Blueprint into the regular group. So what's the regular group called?
You go from Blueprint into Foundations.
Foundations, right?
Yeah, yeah, and Foundations. There's 6 sessions, 6 topics that we walk through, where
Mm-hmm.
you would meet with a group of entrepreneurs, a group of contractors. We call them
Yeah,
members. So
yeah.
we have a bunch of members from different industries
Yeah,
in this
they might
foundation
not
group.
be like I was a gutter guy. I was the only gutter guy. Then I think in my group I had an HVAC guy. I think I had an electrician. I had a couple roofers.
Yeah,
And it was
general
a good
contractors.
mix of
Yeah,
different types of guys in there.
yeah,
But all guys, running, you know, small businesses. Like I would say between 750,000 and I don't think there was anyone that was doing any more than 5, but maybe 3 million or so.
yeah. And we do have 2 different divisions within Breakthrough
Okay,
Academy. We have
so
like
you pick a place for the small
yeah,
where smaller guys would fit in a little bit better
yeah, like the
because the
guy who does
conversations. Let's face it, a smaller contractor versus a bigger contractor. I mean,
exactly.
they're going to be they're going to be pretty different, right?
Yeah, yeah, the guy who does $10 million a year
Yeah.
has potentially different problems than the guy who does $750,000 a year.
Yeah,
Right.
like changing the oil in the Mercedes is a little bit more than changing the oil in the Chevy, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, but that was a good group to be in. I really kind of enjoyed it. And I've actually taken a step back and I'm not even involved in the group right now because I just found that I wasn't keeping up, to be quite honest. I had too much on the go and it seemed like the guys that I was involved with, I felt that they were getting more done than I was getting done. I know that you and I had conversations about this before. You didn't feel it was as bad as I did. I mean, I feel that I have a lot of the information. I
Hmm.
just I just have I've really been struggling with, getting the paperwork, getting the budget done. I outsource my accounting, and maybe that's where I'm lacking a little bit. If I had someone in-house, and we've talked about my guy that I do have in my office doing a little bit more of that, but I just haven't made
Hmm.
that transition. So
Yeah, yeah. And to be fair, it probably takes at least 3 hours a week of working on your business to really see any kind of progress. You can't just because you listen to a podcast doesn't mean your business is going to get better. All
yeah,
right. Like you actually have to
unless you listen
apply.
to my podcast.
Yes, yes. I feel much better already.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it takes work to work on your business and
Yeah,
to grow. You have to be
sure does.
intentional about it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And there is cost too. Like, you're not doing it for free. There's a cost to, having a coach and being involved
Absolutely.
with a company like you guys, right?
100%.
Yeah. So just getting back to me. So for us, I mean, I think the big thing that we're going to try to strive to work towards is getting a budget together for the rest of the year, right? That's
Yeah,
kind of our first priority.
absolutely. Yeah, have an annual budget and then break it down. This is the goal for Q1, Q2, 3,
Mhm.
4. And what are some of these main goals? It doesn't have to be a list of 20, just get, even if it's one goal, maybe 3 goals, just have some
Well, what
like,
kind of goals? Like what would be good goals for a small? I mean, you know enough about my company. What would be some good goals for me to strive for?
sure. It can obviously be financial goals, right? Like I want to sell X number of dollars in Q2. It can be a gross profit goal. It can be a net profit goal. But other really good goals would be, hey, I really need to hire 2, 3 field guys right now because I have so much work sitting here that I can't get
Yeah.
to. And I need to get this hire done in the month of April because I need to train these guys in order to be on the road maybe by middle of May. So it really is like, what's your annual goal? And let's break it down into quarters, into monthly goals, and even into weekly goals. So then when you meet with a coach, okay, Bren, great conversation, you're kicking butt, high five. What are we working on for next time? Okay, well, I'm going to work on this and I'm going to work on that. Okay, 2 goals, perfect. Let's touch base in a couple weeks. And Bren, how did it go? Did you get it done? Oh, Harold, I crushed it. Awesome. High five, green light. Cool. What about this goal? Okay, so that's a no-go. Like, what happened, right? So then just like
Is that when
asking
I have
questions
to dress up and put a little
and
Tootsie
sing that
skirt
song.
on?
Yeah. That's when I record the Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, it comes back to accountability and to make sure that the goals that we're setting are smart goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. So these are goals that matter to you and are achievable. Like if your business does $1 million a year and now you're setting a goal, well, next year I'm going to do $10 million. Okay, dude, that's I don't think that's a smart goal, right? Like, and, explain to me how you're going to get to $10 million, right? What does that look like in Q1? Let's break it down. Okay, so in the month of January, you're going to get whatever 1,500 leads. Okay, where are these leads going to come from? What is that going to look like? What kind of marketing budget do you have in place to get these 1,500 leads? Okay, well, actually, that's not going to work. Well, I know it's not going to work, but I wanted you to become aware of the fact that it wasn't going to work. So let's go back to the plan. So last year you did one. Why don't we shoot for a realistic goal, and then we can work together to, put the budgets in place, the right people in place, the systems in place, so that we can systematically work towards the goal versus just hoping, right? Like, hope is not a real good strategy.
Yeah. So I know, looking at my my MVP, I don't even know what that stands for.
Master business plan.
Master business plan. There we go. So looking at that, I mean, you guys really, the key is to, work on, let's get working on this year, but really creating a plan over the next 3 years, I think, is the key for you guys, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it depends a little bit on you as the entrepreneur, but I think it's great to have a goal for where you want to be 5 years from now, and then break that down. Like, where do you need to be 3 years from now? Where do you need to be this year?
Right.
But you need to have a goal, something to work towards, right? Otherwise,
and I guess, just talking out loud, for me, being 50, turning 51 this year, I mean, I really should be thinking, 55, 60. I mean, I have to kind of be thinking about that. So it's probably, I've been in business since, with the current business I'm running right now, since 2012. So, I'm in my 10th year right now. And for a lot of businesses, you're lucky to be alive for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
You're lucky to get through the first year or two. So, I have, in my business, I have so many things going for us. Like, people know who we are. I mean, they recognize our brand. So those are good things for me. Those are, moving forward, what I really need to be thinking about. And, we all ultimately, we're not just going to run our business to shut it down someday. We're going to run our business to, to sell it, or, have someone take it over, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So, that's all part of the planning process, right?
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what the plan is, right? It's your dream, your goal.
It
Like,
could
I'm
be
not here.
It could be to just grow it to give it away if you want. I mean,
Sure.
not many people would do that, but
yeah, give it to your employees, right? Like, I'm building a company, and then 5 years, 10 years from now, we're going to split it between the employees, or you're going to give it to your son, or you're going to sell it. Like, whatever the goal is fine. Maybe your goal with your business is to spend 6 months a year in Brazil on a beach, right?
That sounds
Maybe
pretty
you
good.
want to be the biggest guy in Canada, like whatever the goal is, it's your goal and you have to own it, right? Like I can't tell you what your goal should be.
Right. So you really got to kind of define that and then kind of work backwards from there and say, okay, how are we going to get to
Yeah.
that goal?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And what systems do you need?
To make
What are the
to
people that
achieve
you
those
need?
goals, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What roles do you need? Because if you're growing, like every time you take your business from this level to the next level, there's maybe people that need to come in, right, to fill certain spots. Because you can't, like you said earlier, you can't be on the tools all the time and expect to do $10 million a year. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Okay, so just before we wrap up here, Harold, I know I know a couple people that went. I know you couldn't go, you couldn't get across the border, from what I understand, but you guys have like a winter summit, and you also have
Yes.
a summer. Is it called a summer summit?
Summer retreat. Yep.
Summer retreat.
Yep.
So just tell me a little bit about those two activities that you guys put on.
Yeah, absolutely. Winter Summit being the biggest one. I mean, what we're doing now on Zoom is pretty much how I spend my days. Like I'm talking to a screen because I can't meet in person with the guy in New York at 10 o'clock and then the guy in California at 11 o'clock. And then we're going to Texas 2 hours later. So everything is done over Zoom. And we're thankful for the technology, right? Like it really works well with what we're doing. But this human interaction is still pretty incredible. So it is very powerful to have a bunch of entrepreneurs come together and really develop a strategic plan for the year, which is a big focus of our winter summit. Because how cool is it if you can sit at a table with half a dozen other gutter guys from across the country and just brainstorm, just ask questions, and then you present your strategic plan, and then the other 5 guys are asking you tough questions. Bren, why are you doing this? Why are you spending money on this? It's extremely powerful. Plus, we like to have a good time, so we attach a good time to that event as well. And it's super powerful. It's incredibly popular with our members. So that's the winter summit, and then in the summer we get together as well. We got an adventure plan for the month of June this year, and it's going to be pretty epic. We do
some
epic
whitewater
things
rafting,
at BTA.
I think was coming up, I think.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think the announcement went out. Yeah, it might involve helicopters and whitewater rafting and mountains and beautiful terrain, and again, great connections, great relationships with members, with staff. It's
well, and I really wanted to go to the winter summit, but it all really has to fit into your budget too, right? You can't just go to the stuff because it's fun. You got to be able to afford it, which is a key part of doing all of this stuff. And if you're not doing the numbers you need to do, if you're not as profitable as what you should, you can't do stuff like that, right? So this is one of the other kind of neat things about fixing your business and making it better so that you can do stuff like that, because all that stuff is a business expense, right?
Yep, 100%.
Yep.
Yeah,
cool. Okay, well, listen, thanks so much for, am I getting charged for this today?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Probably double, because this is outside of regular business hours.
Wow, gee.
Yeah, but it's okay.
You're still in, like, it's almost 8 o'clock here. What time is it there? It's like
just before 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
No, you're all good. You're all good. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on here.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time and chatting with me, and hopefully guys listening to this, they may not be at the level to sign up with Breakthrough Academy, but there's lots of coaching groups out there, and I'm sure you would say that there's lots of good coaching groups out there. I know Breakthrough Academy is obviously the best, but
and we have a lot of free resources, right? Like we already mentioned the podcast, but really check it out. And even in the podcast, every episode, there's free tools that are available.
Yeah.
We don't charge for it. And there's some really, really good stuff on there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the guys doing the podcast are pretty good too.
Oh, they're epic. Really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, look, thanks a lot. Appreciate you taking the time to chat with us.
Awesome.
And We'll be
Good to see
seeing
you, brother. Yes, sir. Have a good day.
You too.